All right, everybody. Welcome to episode 115 of Sports Hype. A lot to get through today, starting with the USA men's winning gold, their fifth straight gold medal for the USA men's basketball team. We will share our views on what this means for the American sports industry, as well as all of the players who participated in the event and on Team USA specifically. And then moving on to the NFL, the Chiefs signed kicker Harrison Butker to a 4-year, $25.6 million contract extension that includes $17.75 million guaranteed. This makes him the new highest paid kicker on a per year basis in the NFL at $6.4 million per year. So we will provide our feedback on that signing. And the Saints and Pete Werner agree on a 3-year contract extension worth $25 million, including $17.5 million guaranteed, which ties him to the Saints through the 2027 season. We'll give our thoughts on that signing and what it means for the Saints, as well as what it does for them moving forward. And then safety Quandre Diggs agreed on a 1-year, $5 million deal with the Tennessee Titans. We will share our views on that signing and what it does for the Tennessee Titans. And Jaguars signed safety Adrian Amos. We will provide our thoughts on that signing for the Jags and how Adrian Amos will affect the Jaguars this upcoming season. And the Niners, given the Brandon Ayuk situation being all shady and gloomy right now, they decided to sign Robbie Chosen, who is formerly known as Robbie Anderson. So we'll touch on what this means specifically for Ayuk's future with the 49ers, as well as what Robbie Chosen can bring to the table for the 49ers. And speaking of Brandon Ayuk, the 49ers this past week did grant him permission to seek a trade. The Steelers, as of right now, do seem to be the favorite right now, so we'll see what the Steelers fan over there has to say about that. The Browns are in the mix as well, so we'll go through the best landing spots for Ayuk and the best deals that we think could happen for him as well. The Cowboys traded cornerback Nashawn Wright to the Vikings in exchange for cornerback Andrew Booth Jr. We'll provide our feedback on what this move does for both of those teams. And then the surprise yesterday was the Patriots releasing wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster after he signed with them for $25.5 million this past offseason, I believe it was. So we'll touch on what's next for Juju's career, given that he is now a free agent. And then Titans guard Sadiq Charles did retire. He was taking starting right guard reps in camp, so we'll give our feedback on what this means for the Titans and how they can replace him in such short notice. And then Falcons receiver Rondale Moore was ruled out for the season after suffering a knee injury in practice this past week, so we'll touch on what that means for the Falcons. And then the legend, Nick Foles, retired after 11 NFL seasons, so we'll touch on his career as a whole and obviously touch on that insane Philly special against none other than Tom Brady himself. And a little controversy to round out the NFL, Jim Harbaugh and Michigan were accused this past week of tampering with recruits during the COVID-19 season, on top of the sign-stealing scandal that this past season that has not been resolved yet. So we'll go through, should Michigan get their championship taken away or not? I'm sure the Ohio State fan over there has a lot of thoughts on that. And then to get into the NBA, the Jazz and Lauri Markkanen agreed on a 5-year, $238 million contract extension. This deal includes $220 million in new money. Markkanen was rumored to be in trades specifically to the Warriors this past offseason, but the Jazz went ahead and shut that down with this contract. So we'll give our thoughts on this entire situation and what this contract means for Lauri Markkanen and the Jazz. And then the Jazz also signed forward Svi Mykhailiuk to a 4-year, $15 million deal. So we will share our thoughts on that signing and what it does for the Jazz as well. And then to round out the podcast, we'll touch on Jeremy Lamb retiring after 10 NBA seasons. So we'll touch on his career and all that he accomplished, specifically with UConn being a 2011 national champion with that team. But we have to start with the USA men's basketball team winning their 5th straight gold medal. I know Gio has a lot to say about it, so I'll give him the floor first.
Yeah, we are still the greatest, right? This is our game. We created the game of basketball. We still own the game of basketball. As of right now, the competition is getting tighter, but we do have, I want to say, Kevin Durant, the greatest Olympian of all time for the men's basketball team in the history of the basketball team. We had Steph Curry, who hit shots late. He hit 4 3-pointers in the gold medal game to ice that game for us, where it just seemed like France was not going away. Victor Wembanyama hitting threes late. It was literally the Victor Wembanyama show at that point. He was closing out the game for France, trying to will his team to a victory. LeBron James, the entire Olympics, has proved to me why he's the greatest of all time. He's the greatest basketball player to ever play the game. That being said, Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan, but to have the greatest basketball player play the game, right, in his entire career, there is no career that will beat LeBron James's. I don't think there will ever be someone to beat LeBron James's career. I think he will be the greatest of all time, at least for our lifetimes, if not for generations. So that being said, I know I'm just blowing over that part where, LeBron is the greatest of all time, but I do want to give props up to not only Anthony Davis, showing why he's the greatest, defender in the league right now, showing Anthony Edwards the props. He took a backseat, even though he said he was the number one option. He took a backseat in this Olympics to give Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, LeBron James the reins of this USA Olympic team. Drew Holiday, perimeter defense was unworldly against everybody. Last but not least for me, I want to talk about Devin Booker. Everybody says how Devin Booker is just, a selfish type player. Devin Booker played phenomenal. Yeah, I believe he had 15 points off the bench today. A really solid 15 to where they mattered
He actually
the most.
started. He started. He did start.
On the bench?
No, he started. He was with the starting unit. Yeah.
Oh, okay. He had 27 minutes though. To me, it's like he had 6 assists or 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 15 points. For Devin Booker to play like he did, just shows you why he's an Olympian. He really had. I think he took a big step. I think it's going to show in this upcoming NBA season, especially with Kevin Durant. And then I also want to shout out one person individually, Steve Kerr. Right? Everyone said how he couldn't make adjustments, he couldn't coach. We even said that, I believe in the last podcast. The one thing he did do, he made adjustments these last 2 games. When it came down to a late possession, he put in the guys that needed to be in, and those guys were Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and then I think Devin Booker. Right. It was either Devin Booker or Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards played late in the first half. Devin Booker played in the second half, late in the game. So I do want to, credit the coaching staff with Steve Kerr being, Eric Spoelstra, Tyronn Lue, right, being at the head of that, assistant core. So I just want to congratulate an all-round men's basketball team, and that was phenomenal. I would say the Dream Team I still think the Dream Team could beat this team, though. The way we saw them falter throughout the Olympics, series, one only beating South Sudan by 1 point, right? In the pretty much exhibition games or group games, right? And then obviously faltering late, within the games against Serbia, right, in the semis, and then obviously, against France in the gold medal game. I think there were some opportunities missed. I also think there were some mistakes happening. I think we had 15 turnovers throughout the entire game. So that being said, I do still believe the Dream Team could have beat this team all around.
See, me personally, I think this team clears the Dream Team because I just think that the Dream Team's competition was not the greatest, and I think that this team played better competition personally.
But let me ask you this: who was the leading scorer on the Dream Team?
Was it Magic?
It was Charles Barkley.
Okay.
So not to say that Mike, I'm not trying to discredit Mike or anything like that, right? But I'm saying Charles Barkley stepped up on the Olympic team. You still had Michael Jordan, right? where most still consider him the greatest player of all time. You had Scottie Pippen, an all defensive player, right? You had Magic, you had Larry, right? I mean, that team to me is unbeatable just because you have three, if not four, top 10 players of all time on that list.
I mean, if you look at this team, you got Steph, you got Braun, you got KD,
Right.
you got AD.
Yeah. Okay.
That's four of top 10 players in the league as well.
No. I'm saying of all time. You have Michael Jordan. He's a top 10 player of all time.
So is Braun.
Okay, that's fine. You have Magic Johnson, top 10 player of all time.
I'd argue KD could be top 10.
I'm not sure about that. And then you also have Larry Bird, top 10 player of all time.
Are you saying Steph's not top 10 all time in your eyes?
To me, I only see Steph Curry and LeBron James as top 10.
I think KD, Steph, and Braun, personally.
But even then, you can make an argument of why Steph is not a top 10 player.
You could. That's true. And same thing goes with AD.
Same thing with KD as well. To me, I don't think there's any argument of saying, that Larry Bird or Magic are not top 10. Like, they're cemented as a top 10 player, unless, say, like, Kevin Durant wins more or Steph Curry, shows more. I think that they are cemented in that top 10 spot.
Yeah, it's just for me, like, I just don't think, like, we've tried to compare eras of this whole time with Braun and MJ. It's impossible. You can't.
I just don't think we saw, although you did mention we saw more NBA players. I think there was 68 NBA players throughout the entire Olympics this year.
Yeah.
I just didn't see any faults with that USA Olympic
team.
Yeah,
but that's also in my opinion because they didn't play great competition. If they played better competition, I think we would have seen more mistakes.
We could have, but I also think defensively we had better defenders.
Yeah, I could see that, but
they had
also it's also back there in 1992. You could be more physical than you can today.
100%, and people will say that you had better shooters in today's era, right?
That's because it's a shooting game now.
100%. But I'm thinking, one, if you give the 92 team a little room for adjustment offensively, I think they would be able to. They're that great. Obviously, Larry Bird, great offensive player. Michael Jordan developed a three later in his career. Magic Johnson could shoot a little bit, right? Charles Barkley, then again.
Yeah, the only one I was going to say is maybe not Magic because I've seen his shot. I just don't think it would develop, but the others definitely could.
And then obviously the passing is unreal with Magic, LeBron. I mean, the teams are comparable, very comparable.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I personally, I would have to give the edge to the 92 team, but nonetheless, this was an amazing win by the Olympic team. As long as we got the gold medal today, that's all I care about.
Right? Yeah, personally for me, the edge goes to the 2024 Avengers who won the gold. But I mean, it's neck and neck. Let's be honest. They're both like, it's 1A and 1B, just like MJ and LeBron. It's 1A and 1B for the greatest team and greatest player of all time. And you guys did hear it here first. I have finally convinced Giovanni Gibson that LeBron James is the GOAT. And it took me a year to do it. We got in a huge argument a year ago. If you guys want to go through the podcast, you'll see it. You'll see it's titled, Is LeBron James the GOAT? And Gio had a lot to say about why MJ is the GOAT. But now, after watching this Olympics, and the 39-year-old LeBron James pretty much, with the help of Steph Curry, of course, carry Team USA to gold. I mean, he averaged a dang near triple-double throughout the entire Olympics. And he's 39 years old. His head's at the rim every time he dunks, still at 39, dang near 40 in December. And it's just insane that how fast he is, how strong he is, how much defense he plays when he is really like into the game. Obviously sometimes he takes possessions off, but when he's not taking possessions off, dude, he's still one of the best defenders in the league. And he showed that this Olympics. He really, he's really the main reason why we won this gold, in my opinion. He led the team perfectly. Everybody listened, everybody followed, and there's a reason for that because he was the leader of the team. And then Steph Curry. I mean, these past two games, without Steph Curry against Serbia, we wouldn't even have been in the gold medal game. I mean, we were down 11 at halftime, and Steph Curry had 20 first half points. So without Steph, these past two games, honestly, we wouldn't have won gold. So Steph, these past two games really saved us as well. Kevin Durant did Kevin Durant things. I mean, that dagger against Serbia, like that cross against, I think it was Bogdan Bogdanovic who was guarding him, and then he pulled up against Serbia to dagger. That was dirty. And then just today, I mean, he hit timely shots, and it's just what KD does. There's a reason why. I mean, Dwayne Wade said it perfectly, and you said it perfectly as well. America made the game. It is still our game, and we will still lead the country. It's just the margin of error is getting slighter and slighter as the years go on because these teams are getting a Victor Wembanyama, are getting a Dennis Schroeder. They're going to continue to get NBA players, and let's be honest, this team, at least half of this team won't play in the next Olympics, in my opinion. LeBron James has pretty much came out and said he won't. I'm assuming Kevin Durant will not. Steph Curry most likely not.
Yeah.
The only ones I could see back is maybe Anthony Davis, but that's questionable given his injury history.
Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum, and Drew Holiday, and Jason Tatum.
Don't forget about the player. Yeah.
Yeah, Halliburton, and maybe Derek White, depending on who's on the team and who's not.
Right.
But in 4 years from now, it's going to look a lot different than it did this year. The only reason we had high expectations this year was because, as I said, we pretty much assembled the Avengers, and it took a barn burner, a great comeback against Serbia to get us here, but we got the job done. And like you said, I mean, I was not a fan of Steve Kerr the first few games, but when it mattered, aka the gold medal game, he decided to put out the best starting lineup that we had in his pocket. I think he was saving that for the gold medal game when we got there, and it worked out perfectly. So credit to him for coaching, and then credit to Eric Spoelstra, Tyronn Lue, and Mark Few for their jobs helping Steve Kerr as well. And just congratulations to the USA men's basketball team.
100%. I do have to say this. So even though I did say LeBron has the greatest all-around career, right? Michael Jordan, to me, I still think Michael Jordan is the best. Like, if you pick from, like, year 90, right? 1990 to year 2 or to 98, right? That 8-year span, I don't think anyone can beat that peak. I always said LeBron James has had the greatest, right? Like, overall career. But if you're looking at a mountain, right? Michael Jordan has the highest peak. Like, I just don't think anyone can reach that peak, but no one can ever reach LeBron James. It's like having the fastest marathon. No one's going to have the fastest marathon compared to LeBron James, right? It's a marathon, he just keeps going, right?
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like Bron's peak was, I'd say, his second year in the league, so 2004, because his rookie year he was getting acclimated. I'd say it was from 2004 to 2016 when he beat that Golden State Warriors team.
It could, but I just don't think, like, Michael Jordan had, 10 scoring titles. He was on 10 all-time, first-team defensive teams, right? He had 6 championships, 5 MVPs. It was like those 8 years, everything was easy for him, and he made it look easy, right? He had 60-point games. He had 40, 50-point games. He never went into a game 7 in the finals. Like, it just looked easy.
I mean, I think Bron makes it look easy, to be honest.
But Bron does make it look easy because of his size too. You look at LeBron James, he's 6'9", 6'10", 250. He's not gonna get beat if he's inside.
Like I said, if he's locked in defensively, he's stopping you 9 times out of 10.
Sure, 100%. But to me, it's just, I think also you have to look at recovery-wise. You have to look at physicality. I just want to say he's the greatest of our generation, right? Easy. No one's coming up to it. Mike's the greatest of that generation, right? Kareem and Wilt and their respective generations. Same with Oscar Robinson, and obviously, oh my gosh, what's Celtic?
Larry Bird.
No, go Larry Bird. No, number 6.
Bill Russell.
Thank you, Bill Russell. Oh my gosh. Yeah, obviously Bill Russell for their respective generation. But I have to say, over everyone's career, LeBron James has had the best career. No one is beating that.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why I personally say he's the GOAT, because I mean, if you have the best career and the most accolades, in my
Right.
opinion, that makes you the GOAT. But like I said, with the 1992 and 2024 Olympic team, it's 1A and 1B. There's no argument against it. They're 1 and 2. And if you
Right.
argue that they're not 1 and 2, then you're wrong. Let's just put it that way.
So to me, there's only arguments for it. I don't think you can literally take anything away from LeBron or MJ's careers. You can't take anything away from.
Agreed. But I did want to agree with you about Devin Booker. Like, when I saw him on the team, I was a little skeptical. I was like, oh, wow, he's going to want to score. He's going to be mad when he doesn't get the ball. But he played great defense, great defense.
Mm-hmm.
And so did Anthony Edwards. Like you said, he took a great step back as well. I mean, I knew Ant was going to say he's a confident person. Of course, he's going to say he's the number one person on the team. But when the time comes, he knows he has to take a step back, and he did that perfectly. And then, yeah, Anthony Davis, 4 blocks, 3 steals in this gold medal match. Without him anchoring the defensive side of things, it wouldn't have been a different result. It just would have been a closer ball game. So I've been saying it, and I will say it again. Anthony Davis is the best defender in the league. I know people are going to say Rudy Gobert, but to me, Anthony Davis can guard 1 through 4, which Rudy Gobert showed against Luka that he cannot do.
Right.
So, I mean, just a great all-around team and great all-around gold medal game and run to the gold medal.
For sure. Before we move on, though, I do want to mention one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Victor Wembanyama is 19 years old. Scored 26.
20,
or 20. He's a 20-year-old kid. Scored 26.
He's younger than us. Put that in your mind.
11 for 19 from the field, 58%. Like you said, he's younger than us. Carried a France team who hasn't been to a gold medal game, and I don't know, what was it, in 2000? Was it 2012 maybe?
They made it. No, they made it against us in 2021 in Tokyo.
Did they?
Yeah, but he wasn't on the team though. That's why.
Right. But I also believe like he carried this team this year. He's 20.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was him and that Gabrielli guy.
Yeah. Think about LeBron James in 2004. He didn't carry the team. He didn't. Obviously, it was because of coaching decisions that he didn't play as much.
It was. I mean, he won bronze, but I mean, it's not silver.
But I'm just saying, imagine LeBron James carrying a team at 20 years old to a gold medal game. It's unfathomable to really think about. And
we already knew that. Okay, keep going. You're good.
I was just gonna say, and I'm sure he could have, like I said, because of coaching decisions, he wasn't able to play as much. He really went towards. He was pretty much Anthony Edwards. He really went towards the veteran players, right, and playing them more minutes. I think LeBron James could have carried us to a gold medal game. That's just me. But that's neither here or there. Victor Wembanyama is here to stay. He's going nowhere, and he's only going to get better. So that's why, like we said, the room for error is only getting slimmer, and Victor Wembanyama is going to probably win a gold medal sooner or later.
Oh, 100%. I mean, we already knew Victor Wembanyama is a rookie phenom, and he's not even a rookie anymore. He's just a phenom. He's a phenom. Look what he did in his rookie season with San Antonio. I know they didn't make any noise, but just pull up his stats. He had like 3 blocks a game. Is that normal for a rookie? No, he led the league in blocks. Like, I get people are like, oh, he's 7'5". Anybody can do that. No, you have to have the athleticism, the capability, the defensive capability. Like he makes it look easy, but it's a lot harder than it looks. So he's a great basketball player. He's going to continue to improve. The only thing I will say about Wembanyama, and I told my dad this after the game, is that he has to get more muscle. Anthony Davis and Joel Embiid and Bam Adebayo were bullying him down low. That's why Anthony Davis kept getting those offensive rebounds and kept getting those putbacks. Once he gets more muscle on him, he is going to become a problem, especially if he continues to develop that three-point shot, which wasn't falling very well in these Olympics. If it was falling better, especially in the gold medal game, who knows? It could have been a closer game, and who knows what would have happened.
He did hit one late in the game to make it a close game, make, what was it, 4-6 points, something like that.
Before Steph stagger, yeah.
But still, he made it a close game because of his three. And he's 7-4 hitting threes. That's insane.
Like, that's what I'm saying, bro. He has the handles of a point. It's like Kevin Durant 2.0. He has the handles of a point guard, but he can shoot like he's a center, but he can handle it like a point guard and shoot like a point guard as well. It's not normal. Like, he's insane. Like you said, he's going to win a gold medal. He's going to win an NBA championship eventually in his career, I would assume, just based off the talent. Even if he stays in San Antonio, like, he could turn the San Antonio around. They got off to a hot start last year. You never know. And then regarding LeBron in 2004, I do agree. I think he could carry that team to a gold medal solely because I will never doubt LeBron James. It's like doubting Tom Brady. You cannot do it.
No.
But before moving on, I would just like to say, Bogdanovic, you see the shirt, never disrespect the player again. You sold your team.
One, I do want to mention this. I think that was the greatest thing he could have done
for Team USA, for Serbia.
One, to motivate Team USA, right?
Yes,
I love that because we were down 14 points at that time.
Once I saw LeBron literally take his Band-Aid off his eye and then hit him with a too small, I was like, oh yeah, it's wraps.
And two, as a villain, for him to do that in front of Melo.
Right at Melo, like looking right at him.
That was the greatest he could have done. And why not do it? That's going to be your only chance to do it on the big stage like that. So, really, Bogdanovic, he is who he is. We all understand that he's not an all-star in the league. No. He's a great player in the league. He's a great shooter. And he's like that Dylan Brooks type of player where he is a villain on his team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disrespecting him. Obviously, Carmelo Anthony came out and said he respects him, and all Team USA respects him as well. I'm just saying, you made the biggest mistake because I don't think that Team USA would have had the motivation in them to come back and make the gold medal game had he not done that. So that's why I'm saying, like, you made a big mistake, but like you said, he is a great basketball player. He's in the NBA for a reason. He's on Serbia for a reason. All of that is very hard to do. So I'm not disrespecting him. He's a great player. Just want to tell him you got to respect the greats, and you made a mistake.
Yeah, and might as well. Somebody has to keep that alive, right? I don't see anybody putting three to the dome anymore. I mean, Carmelo Anthony, he coined it. That's his move. But we got to keep seeing that. We got to keep the legend alive. So we got to have more players put three to the dome when they hit like 3 threes in a row, to where we see future generations be like, what is that? What is that celebration? Right. And everybody can reflect and understand that that's Carmelo Anthony's move, to where everybody still understands and knows how great Carmelo Anthony really is.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when we play basketball, both me and you, bro, after one or two go in, it's going to the head. You have to, bro. I mean, I get it. These kids didn't watch Carmelo, but that's why these NBA players these days have to, because they're like, if Steph Curry does it, for example, they're like, let me Google that. Oh, it's Carmelo. Oh yeah, I'll start doing that.
Right.
So, like, I mean, I think they're afraid to do it because, like, it's Melo's thing, like you said, so they don't want to take it away from him.
But at the same time, it's like doing the Steph Curry night, right?
Yeah.
To where we see a lot of players doing the Steph Curry night.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
That's true. Yeah.
And so we see players do a lot of other things as well. I mean, we don't really see, like, say, LeBron James. LeBron James's what was it when he puts his gun in his holster? We
Yeah.
never see that anymore.
Or the 3-step and then pound in the chest.
I haven't seen any other player do that before. We need to see more of that from LeBron, honestly. He's still in the league for only so much more time. We need to see LeBron do that one celebration at least one more time.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, I think the celebrations actually have gone away.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
anymore.
What's up?
They're not as creative anymore, in my opinion. I really think
the only one I would say that's creative that was created this past year was Steph.
That's it.
And maybe the Joel Embiid, but that one to me is just like corny.
Yeah. I think more players. I think whenever
they're copying their teammate. I feel like when whatever their teams do on the bench is what they end up doing.
I do like Austin Reeves's 3-point.
Yeah, the freeze. Yeah,
that's a good one. But then again, that's just an iteration of D'Lo's, right? From when he used to hit threes, dagger threes. So we need more celebrations unique, like the Carmelo Anthony 3 to the dome, like Steph Curry's, night, LeBron James.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it will start coming back. But before we move on to NFL, I just want to say thank you, Team USA, for getting the gold on Kobe Day, 8/10/2024.
100%. I want to just one more thing for the Olympics. I want to thank Team USA. Want to thank all of our track athletes. We won at least 30 medals in the track and field competitions. Katie Ledecky, all time. Want to thank Simone Biles and the gymnastics team, right? Want to thank that the kid. He's
the 16-year-old.
The 16-year-old won, but also we also have a long distance runner who brought the USA back on the map.
Hawker.
Is that his name?
The one who won the 1500. Is that who you're talking about?
Maybe. I know he won a silver, but he won bronze in the 5,000 today. 5,000 meters.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But he really won. He really put USA back on the map for the long distance. So USA is here to stay. I think obviously we're all time, and we won the most medals. Period. We're next with China right now. Hopefully we can beat out China to win all around gold and all total medals. So overall, thanks to all those athletes, and hopefully we can bring home the gold and more medals in the upcoming Olympics back at home.
Yes, sir. Thank you to all the athletes who represented the USA, and you guys showed why we are the best sports country in the world, and are putting us back on the map and showing that all these kids that are watching that if you put your mind to something, you can accomplish anything. So we appreciate you and thank you for your service in the Olympics.
And at least we still know we have the best athletes in the world. So
yeah, exactly. And we're not done yet. The Olympics aren't over till tomorrow, so we could get 2 more golds in women's volleyball and men and women's basketball. So hopefully both of them will get those done, and we'll move over China by one gold medal. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But moving on from the Olympics and on to the NFL, the Chiefs did sign kicker Harrison Butker to a 4-year, $25.6 million extension that includes $17.75 million guaranteed. As I said, this makes him the new highest paid kicker on a per year basis at $6.4 million per year. So what do you think about this, Gio?
Yeah, I mean, I like this move. Just because it's a kicker and we get to see him. Was he your guy? Where was he?
No, I think he was only on the Chiefs. I'm pretty sure.
He's only on the Chiefs, right? So he's one of the best. He's one of the best kickers in the league. We got to see what he can do, and obviously he's a great kicker. Mm-hmm. For him to have a $25.6 million extension is amazing. $17.75, like you said, $1 million guaranteed. He's the highest paid kicker, on a per year basis, and so that's huge, and hopefully that moves that position forward into getting paid more because it is such an important position. Even though you don't play as much as the other positions in the game, it is really one of the most important ones because you guys make or break games. You guys win or lose games most of the time, and the pressures probably you guys are under the most pressure, right? Besides the quarterback position.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like you said, I think a few podcasts ago when we were touching on Dustin Hopkins, kickers are very underrated. They
Right.
are undervalued as well. Like teams don't understand the type of value they have to them until they lose them. So the fact that the Chiefs went ahead and realized Harrison Butker's value, one, and two, gave him the contract extension he deserves, because in my opinion, obviously Justin Tucker is still the best kicker in the league. In my opinion, Harrison Butker is the next best thing. And once Justin Tucker retires, Butker will probably be the best kicker in the NFL. And so he does deserve this contract. He deserves this type of money. I know people are like, that's a lot of money for a kicker. Yeah, but like Gio said, they win or lose you games, and Harrison Butker has won the Chiefs a lot of games, and he's going to continue to in these next 4 years as well. So great contract extension for the Chiefs, and congrats to Harrison Butker. But I do want to say I saw a tweet from Trey Wingo saying that, all this controversy about what his speech was at his alma mater. And Trey Wingo said after this contract was announced that it shows just how good you are as an athlete will show how much the team puts up with. But the Chiefs really aren't putting up with anything, in my opinion. Like, he just stated his opinions. So I've seen players do a lot worse and get paid a lot more money. So I don't know what his issue with this contract. But do you have any thoughts on that before we move on, Gio?
Yeah, I still believe that it's not like he was saying anything poor. I do believe he was just stating
I just think he was like based on his religion, and coming from a religious person, like
right.
we state our opinions. I know you guys might not like it, but for a religious person, everything he said is true.
What I have to say about that is everyone should have the opportunity to state their opinion too.
Yeah.
It's not like he's saying anything bad per se. It's just his own opinion on a very sensitive topic. For what, like you said, it is based upon his own religion. It's not like people are, discouraging anybody from each other's religions. It's just the fact that, hey, I'm going to say my own opinion on something, and it may be controversial, but I have the opportunity to say it, right? And we should understand everybody's opinions. We don't have to agree with it, but at least everyone's opinions can be heard and not really appreciated, but understood and heard.
Yeah, I mean, like, everyone just resorts to arguing in today's world. It's like, just hear their opinion. Like, I know you might not agree with it, but you don't have to agree with everything. Just listen to them and hear their side out, and then state your opinion. But if you're just bashing them to bash them, it won't get you anywhere.
Right.
But moving on to the Saints and Pete Werner agreeing on a 3-year contract extension worth $25 million that includes $17.5 million guaranteed. This now ties him to the Saints through the 2027 season. So how do you feel about that signing, Gio?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good signing. Two, it's like he's not going to make or break them, right? He averaged 0.5 sacks a game. He was tied. He had one interception, right? He's a great player, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, he's not a make or break type of player.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he is a good defensive player to have, and they need him, so that's why they signed him to this extension. But I mean, their defense is centered around Cameron Jordan and now Chase Young. Now they've got him as well. But just to have a good linebacker in the middle to anchor the defense is important as well. And I believe that's why the Saints signed him to this contract extension. So I think this was a great signing for the Saints and a much needed signing for the Saints, but he's not going to make or break the Saints defense either.
But I do have to say he was an amazing Ohio State player at that time. It's just I think he's still young in my opinion.
Hmm. I
I,
think
I,
I
I
think I'm pretty sure Shefty said he's like 25 or something like that.
yeah, so he still has a lot of years left in his system. I think he can definitely improve on his game, and I think we'll see that this year for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially like I said, with Cam Jordan and Chase Young forcing pressure on quarterbacks, it's gonna be a lot easier for him to get interceptions because
Right.
interceptions really happen when a quarterback is under pressure. If a quarterback has all day to throw, you're not going to get many interceptions. And I think that's why he only got one last year because the Saints couldn't get any pressure on any quarterback.
Right.
But moving on to the Titans agreeing on a 1 year, $5 million deal with safety Quandre Diggs. What do you feel, or how do you feel about that, Gio?
Yeah, I like that. Um, Let me ask you. He's related, right, to Stefan and Trayvon?
I don't think so. I think they just ironically have the same last name.
Same last name. I was curious about that. I wasn't too sure about it. I do like it. I do like this signing. Just because Titans obviously need their defense, right? That's what they're going to have to rely on this year, in my opinion. You can't rely on their offense, even though Will Levis is under the helm of it. The defense is definitely going to have to carry this team this year in order to have any success. But like I said before, I don't see the Titans doing anything. It's a great signing, but the AFC is so top heavy. I don't see anyone moving past those top 6 or 7 teams.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a great signing. I mean, now they have two great safeties in Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs back there. I believe they both played on Seattle with each other as well, so they have that chemistry.
Yeah.
Their defense is going to be their anchor. They had a great defense last year. It's just can their offense score enough points? Their
Mm.
offense did improve. I mean, Will Levis is going to improve. They did get him some weapons as well, and Tony Pollard went over there as well. They did lose Derrick Henry, yes, but they also got Tony Pollard. I mean, I know I'm not comparing him to Derrick Henry, but it is a good replacement. It was the best replacement out there, so they got him, and I think their offense will improve. It just won't be good enough to the point where, like you said, they'll be able to be in the top 6 and make the playoffs.
Yeah, but still, Derrick Henry is a huge loss for any team, right? It doesn't matter. He is probably one of the best running backs to ever play the game. And
Well, it's also like for me, like I know that Tony Pollard's a great back, but the line in Dallas was so much better than the line in Tennessee,
right,
and
or
Derrick
Derrick
Henry could
Henry,
barely run behind that line. So what is Tony Pollard going to do?
but even for him to do the stuff that he did last year, I know it wasn't great, but for even to have that shows you how great of a running back Derrick Henry is, and like he can truck through anything. He's just massive player. I think he's 6'2", right? So Tony Pollard definitely has a lot of work ahead of him. If when he plays for Tennessee.
Yeah, 100%. It's not going to be the best year for Tennessee, but I think they'll improve. Like I said, and their defense will continue to be their bright spot. And that signing for Quandre Diggs was another great signing made by the Titans GM defensively. Now you just got to focus offensively and hope Will Levis continues to improve and bolster that offensive line to protect your quarterback and make it easier to run.
Right.
Moving on to another safety getting signed, this time to the Jaguars. They signed safety Adrian Amos. So what's your opinion on that?
Yeah. I do believe that this is a good move for them, right? Uh, but they're not gonna do anything, right?
You don't
They're the
think so?
Jack.
I mean, they were second in the division last year.
They were,
I
but
think I think they'll be second in the division this year too.
I believe so. But that's not going to be enough, right?
How
He
many
had
wins do you how many wins do you think they need to make the playoffs or make a run at the playoffs?
how many wins? I would have to say any team that wants to be successful in the AFC and have a chance. Well,
I was gonna say 11.
I only say 12 because you look at what's going on in the AFC North. You look what's going on in the AFC East. You look what's going on in the AFC West, right? The
Hmm.
AFC South, where the Jags are currently, that's their division, is the weakest division by far
In the AFC.
in the AFC. You have the Texans, who are obviously going to be the number one.
I mean, I'd still argue the Chiefs division,
Is the
AFC
weakest?
West. Yeah, because I don't trust the Raiders, I don't trust the Broncos, and I don't trust the Chargers.
The Chargers, to me, are going to be better, right? You have the Raiders with Minshew Mania, right? And a great defense. That defense is only getting better. You still have Devontae Adams on that offense as well. Yeah, they don't really have a running back. They have a great young, I believe what was a tight end, right? That they just drafted.
Oh,
So
Brock
yes,
Bowers. Yeah.
The Raiders are going to be better. The only team I can see is the Broncos, and they could easily be in the AFC South. I think they could easily be the third best team in the AFC South.
Well, to me, AFC South is going to go Texans, Jags, Colts, and then who's the last team? I'm blanking on it.
The last team in the AFC South. Let me see real quick. It's Titans.
Oh yeah. Titans are they'll be last. I think the Colts are going to improve this year. They are going to at least get 10 wins in my opinion because I trust Anthony Richardson will stay healthy, and when Anthony Richardson was healthy, he was balling out last year. I think that'll continue. The Texans are by far the best team in the division. I mean, they got Stephon, Tank, Nico, Stroud. It's
The
a
defense
clear
is
shot.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a clear
favorite.
shot who's the best in the division. Then the Jaguars, they got better. Trevor Lawrence is going to have a better year in my opinion. It's just the only team that I think is not good is the Titans. I mean, it's the same thing with the AFC West. So I mean, there's clear-cut favorites in both divisions, Chiefs and Texans, two middle of the pack teams, and then two bottom tier teams, in my opinion.
I could agree. Obviously, I see the Raiders beating the Jags. In my opinion, I can see the Raiders beating the Jags. I can see the Raiders beating 3 out of those 4 teams in the AFC South. I can see the Chargers beating 2 teams in the AFC South. And I can see the Broncos maybe winning two teams if one, right? But
Yeah.
I don't
I
know. I
mean,
still
it's
think that's
between those two divisions. Let's just put it that way. It's between those two for the worst division in the
but,
AFC.
but either way, you have to win 11 to 12 games in the AFC
Mhm.
in order to have a chance at that 7th spot, right?
Yeah.
To be in that wild card game.
Well, do
It's
you
just
really think that 11 though? Because the Steelers snuck in as the 7th seed with 10 wins last year, correct?
that's right.
So I don't think the AFC got that much better outside of the Chiefs.
The Browns. We're gonna talk. Who's next on our list?
Yes, Brett. Yes, we'll talk about Brandon Ayuk in a few moments.
Is he next up?
Not next up, but after the next talking point.
All right, I'll hold all my thoughts on the AFC till then, because I
All right,
can hit Juju and I can hit Ayuk at the same time.
all right, sounds good. But regarding this signing for the Jaguars, I think it's a good signing. I mean, they have to continue to bolster their defense. Their defense has been a bright spot for them these past few years, and it's going to continue to be a bright spot. And I think they can win at least 10 games in their division. And I think it might be enough to get the 7th seed. It'll depend on how well these top 6 teams in the AFC end up playing. Because if these top 6 have 11 or 12 wins, then you're going to have to at least get 11 wins to sneak into the playoffs. And even then, you'll have to play one of the best teams, which will not be easy at their house.
No.
But still a great signing, and I think the Jaguars will have a decent year. I just don't know if it will be enough to make the playoffs, especially in a top-heavy AFC, like we said.
Right.
But moving on to the 49ers signing Robbie Chosen, formerly known as Robbie Anderson. So obviously, as I talked about in the talking points, Brandon Ayuk was granted permission to seek a trade by the 49ers. So what do you think this whole situation with Robbie Chosen means for Brandon Ayuk's future with the Niners, Gio?
Yeah, so he's finished. It's kaput.
I mean, I was going to say that, but there's reports are coming out everywhere. Like yesterday, I saw a report that said the 49ers are now working on a contract extension with Ayuk, and they're getting closer. And then Ayuk comes out and says, "We're in the media every day. Just pick a route and go with it." So I don't know who to believe.
I believe he's frustrated. I also believe the 49ers are not receiving any trade offers that they are willing to part with him.
Well,
right?
I also heard, like, so they had deals in place. It's all Ayuk's fault based off what I'm hearing, because they had deals in place with the Patriots. Ayuk said, "I don't want to go to New England. I don't trust that quarterback situation." So they nixed it. Same thing with the Browns. They had it in place, trading Amari Cooper and a few picks for Brandon Ayuk. Ayuk said, "No, I don't want to go to Cleveland." So if you don't want to be in San Francisco, and you don't want to be in New England, and you don't want to be in Cleveland, where do you want to be? Because not many teams want you right now. Yes, I know you're going to say Pittsburgh fan, but I'm hearing no.
Yeah.
I'm hearing that yes, they are the favorites. I agree, but I'm hearing that the Steelers aren't willing to give up what the 49ers are asking.
That's what I'm saying, bro. I'm saying they are not receiving any, because when I say trade offers, right? I'm not talking about the Browns. I'm not talking who wants to be in Cleveland, right? In the words of Joakim Noah, who wants to be in Cleveland? Then I'm talking about no one wants to be in New England in that crazy winter. No one wants to be in New England down there, over there. The Pittsburgh Steelers have not offered anything that the 49ers want. Ayuk's like, I want to go to Pittsburgh.
I think he does want to go to Pittsburgh, but it's not that they're not offering things that the 49ers don't want. The 49ers want a receiver back in exchange, which makes sense. But I don't think the Steelers are willing to part with any of their receivers.
You know who we want? There's only one receiver they want.
Yeah. NFL young boy.
Up.
NFL young boy.
100%. George Pickens, as our co-host used to like to say, the Bulldog, right? Mm-hmm. We're not giving him up.
No.
He's our number one guy.
You can't give him up. You signed Deontay Johnson. You cannot give him up. And then you also signed another receiver, correct?
Well, we got rid of Deontay Johnson. He's gone.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, but I forgot. He went with the Panthers, but you got one to replace him.
We did.
I forget. I'm blanking on who it was.
I forget too.
Because I know you're not going in with George Pickens as your only receiver. I know you signed one. And it was a pretty big name, too.
Well, I know we got Calvin Austin. He's a good young kid.
Yeah, yep.
Who else? I can't think.
Oh, okay, no. You guys didn't make a big signing. I thought you did. It's George Pickens, obviously wide receiver 1, Van Jefferson, and then Calvin Austin the third. So like you said, the only one they want is George Pickens. In no way you bring up George Pickens for Brandon Ayuk, because you can't just have one wide receiver. The Cowboys showed this last year. You can't have one wide receiver and succeed. That safety is going to shadow that other receiver, and they're going to be doubled the entire game. And you're going to be forced to throw somewhere else, and eventually it's going to come back to bite you. So you need 2 wide receivers. The Steelers are trying to give up picks and some decent player for Ayuk, but the 49ers aren't budging. But I do agree. Ayuk definitely wants to go to Pittsburgh.
It's going to happen one way or another. Either we're going to sign him in the next upcoming year.
Yeah, after this year, yep.
Or we're just going to get him. With a second round pick, 6th round pick.
So look at Omar Khan's history this offseason. He got Justin Fields for pretty much a bag of chips. He got Russell Wilson for free because he got cut.
Yeah.
Eventually, if Brandon Ayuk wants to go to Pittsburgh, he's going to find a way to make it happen.
That's right. We have a great defense. The only thing I'm worried about is our QB situation. Right now, we don't have a definitive
I
starting
mean,
quarterback. When you
Russell
don't
Wilson
have
has,
that,
yeah, for those that like wondering why, because a lot of people think it's Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's been hurt all of training camp, and Justin Fields, if you haven't been paying attention, has been lighting it up.
yes,
So there's some question marks surrounding the Pittsburgh Steelers starting quarterback room. I still believe Russell Wilson will be the starting quarterback, but he will be on a very fine line. If he plays like he did in Denver, they're not going to hesitate to pull him now.
100%. And that's the problem I have. We don't have a clear leader. When you're the starting quarterback, you do need a lot of reps to get, in, continuity with your wide receivers and your receiving core. You're going to be the leader of that offense. When you make a big switch like that midway through the season or go back and forth between Russ and Fields, there's going to be some problems. We saw that last year when we went between Pickett,
I
Rudolph,
mean, we saw
Hodges,
it a lot it's not only with Pittsburgh last year. We saw it with Denver. We saw it with Carolina. Like a lot of teams did it.
and then you just can't build that great offense continuity. You need all those reps. You need to have a great stretch of offense in order to build momentum, and you just can't do that if you're like, okay, this game we're going to start Rudolph. Okay, this game we're going to have Pickett start. Okay, this game we're going back to Rudolph because Pickett sucks, and then we're going back to Rudolph. It doesn't make any sense to me, but at the same time, it's a good problem to have, at least right now. Last year, a terrible problem to have because we didn't know who to start. This
Yeah.
year, at least we're having two starting quarterbacks fight for that starting job. And, it's a good problem to have, but at the same time, we need to figure it out so we can build that team chemistry.
Right. And I mean, there's still about a month until the season starts. Russell Wilson will continue to get healthy. I think he's going to get the starting job, and he will. I mean, he's going to go into the season with less reps with the starters than Justin Fields has, which is a little bit of a problem, but I don't think it will take him that long to get the reps down and get the chemistry down, knowing how good of a quarterback he is.
No.
But continuing with the Niners signing Robbie Chosen, I think it's a good signing, and I think, as we said, it's the end of Ayuk's reign in San Francisco, one way or another. Either he's going to play out this year and then leave next year, or he's going to force his way out like he's trying to right now.
Right.
But I think Robbie Chosen is a good. He's not obviously not the best receiver, but I think he's underrated, and I think he's a good replacement for specifically like he's a good fit for the 49ers type of offense, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. He's great. He'll fit seamlessly into that offense. I love what they're doing over there in San Francisco. Definitely gives them the advantage to going back to the Super Bowl for this upcoming season, and we'll just see what happens. Hopefully, they can make it work out again. But at the same time, the NFC is getting a lot more difficult. We mentioned in the last podcast, you have the Eagles, you have the Cowboys, right? You still have you have Chicago coming up, going to be an interesting, team. You have Detroit, right? So you have 3, 4, 5 good teams that can definitely take your spot.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the NFC is very deep, but it's not on the AFC's level, but it's still very deep. It's still very hard to make the playoffs. So you're going to have to play your best. But I do think, as of right now, San Francisco is probably the best team in the NFC.
Mm-hmm.
But we pretty much touched on Brandon Ayuk, unless you had anything else you wanted to say about the AFC.
No, I'll touch it when we talk about Juju.
All right, sounds good. So moving on to the Cowboys trading cornerback Nashawn Wright to the Vikings for cornerback Andrew Booth Jr. How do you feel about this move, Gio?
Yeah, it's a move, right? But at the same time, to me, it's like, what really is going through your head to where you need to make this move, right?
I mean, I can tell you what's going through your head as a Cowboys fan. I saw it and I was like, oh, cool. We made a move. Doesn't really move me. Cool.
Exactly. Is like the great Des Bryant said, is winning in Jerry Jones's vocabulary.
No, it's not. You know why? I'm sure you saw that clip on Wednesday, I believe it was, where a reporter, CD's been holding out. He asks him, any progress on CD's contract?
Nope.
What does this man say? No, I don't have the urgency to get it done. Why are you the owner of the team, bro? What are you doing? You don't have the urgency to sign your best player, not only your best player. Do you think Dak Prescott is going to go out there and put up MVP numbers without CeeDee Lamb? Because if you do, you're delusional. Like, I don't like, I get it. He's old. Maybe his brain is falling apart. I don't know what's going on. But Jerry Jones this past offseason has made me more mad than my 23 years of fandom with this team.
Yeah.
Like, it's terrible, bro. Like, I'm happy we made the move, but like, let's be honest, Andrew Booth Jr. is on the same level as Nashawn Wright. Nashawn Wright was a bust for us. There's a reason we traded him. Pretty much both of these players are getting swapped for special teams, in my opinion.
It just doesn't make any sense to me why you guys would do this move. Like you said, maybe just to make a move. But at the same time, you guys need to get better. You don't need to stay in mediocrity. And this move definitely keeps you mediocrity for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the one move we need to do is simple. It's called sign 88. That's it.
Yeah.
I just don't like, I don't know. Maybe it's, do you have anything from like being a non-Cowboys fan that anything to say about the CD situation?
I have to say, one, it's going to only get more expensive.
Exactly. It already has.
Two,
same thing with Dak and Micah.
He's going to get more disgruntled because he didn't show up to OTAs and whatever the case may be. So he's going to get even more disgruntled that this contract hasn't got resolved yet. And to hear his owner say that it's not a priority for him is pretty much a spit in the face.
And then CD pretty much, like, after that, he just gave up on it because he had America's team in his bio on Twitter, took that out. He had himself in a Cowboys jersey on like his background on Twitter, took that out and replaced it with something else. And then he retweeted the tweet that said the quote and just said LOL. So obviously he's had enough.
So now we're at an understanding to where usually what happens next is one, they are traded, or two, they walk, or three, they try to give them money, right? Say Cowboys throw him a bag. No, I don't want it. You guys don't want to win. Just like with Jimmy Butler and the Philadelphia 76ers, you guys show me you guys don't want to win. I'm out of here to go to a winning franchise like the Kansas City Chiefs, like the Eagles, like the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Maybe even the Jets. Never know. He'll go to a contending team without a problem, and then we'll see what happens from there. But you guys will definitely get worse if you keep Jerry Jones, one, as your owner, or two, if you guys don't figure it out as a franchise.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this not only sets up a failure for CD's reign with the Cowboys, but for future free agents as well. Like, if I'm seeing this and I know my contract is coming up, I'm going to be like, do I really want to stay here? Do I really want to like go through the hassle of trying to negotiate a contract when I know I most likely will not be appreciated here? If I'm a Dallas player, in my head, the back of my head, I'm like, I'm not wasting my time. If I'm not appreciated, I'm not staying. I'm a walk.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same scenario. One with, I feel like,
I think that's why, like, I feel like that's why Dak and Micah specifically are waiting, because they know that they're not appreciated and they want to wait for their contract.
Right.
They want to not wait for their contract, but they want to obviously make their value go up. And Micah's value is already way up there 2 years in. And they want to see if they can win 2. And 3, they want to see whether or not Jerry actually appreciates them. And as of right now, through the CD situation and also the Dak situation, I mean, Dak's not as urgent as CD, but both of those situations, they are being shown they are not as appreciated as they had hoped.
Yeah, and I think more for Parsons than anybody else is the winning, right? If Micah sees that you guys aren't winning, why would I sign a long-term contract just to stay in mediocrity? I need to me, I'm thinking about myself at this point. The legacy legacy part of it. I'm one of the greatest defensive players to ever play the game. I need that Super Bowl. I need that defensive player of the year. I need it, whatever the case may be, in order to be part of the greats, go into having that Hall of Fame type of career. And so if Jerry Jones doesn't give you the weapons, doesn't give you the right team to be successful, why would I stay in mediocrity just to lose?
Right. And that's the problem I have as well. Not really a problem, but I'm very skeptical that Micah Parsons is going to resign with us, not only because of what you just said, but he also retweeted the tweet that CD reposted saying LOL. So he's not even in his contract situation yet, and he's already had enough with Jerry Jones. That's not a good sign.
But moving forward, we have to talk about a former Steeler, right, wide receiver, and obviously a former Kansas City Chiefs and Super Bowl champion, New England Patriots receiver, Juju Smith-Schuster. He was recently released after he signed a, $25 million contract, something like that, I believe Jake said at the beginning part of the podcast. Juju Smith-Schuster is now released. He can go anywhere he wants. I have two options in my head right now. One, it's back with Pittsburgh, right? Go ahead and be that number one guy or number two guy. Yeah, we know what George Pickens, Bulldog can do with the Steelers, but Juju Smith-Schuster is on another level, in my opinion. Then he can go back to the team where he won a Super Bowl with. Go ahead, be that number two, number three option. Don't worry about it like you were that first outing with Kansas City. Just go ahead and be a productive part of that unit and go ahead and win another Super Bowl. Go back to back with Kansas City. Help them go ahead and get that three-peat. To me, those are the only two options in my head where I see Juju Smith-Schuster landing. But could you see him landing in Dallas? Could you see him landing somewhere else in the NFC possibly?
You said Chiefs and who else?
I said Chiefs and the Steelers, only because the Steelers need, obviously, we mentioned that number two guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, but definitely could go back to Kansas City where I believe he didn't mind being in Kansas City. He just went where the money was at that time. Now he needs to take a step back, regain some momentum in his career, and obviously winning a Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs can definitely help with that.
Yeah, I don't think he'd want to go back to Kansas City solely because I think he left because he wanted the ball more, and New England would have got him the ball more. But obviously, he didn't make enough of an impression to stay on New England to get the ball more. So I don't think he'd want to go back there. I think he was disgruntled there. He was happy he won a Super Bowl. He got what he wanted there. I just don't think that he would want to go back there again. But for Pittsburgh, I do think that's a good fit. Obviously, like we said, he needs a wide receiver to go back to Pittsburgh where you started your career, played very well there, probably played your best football there. So might as well go back. I mean, especially since they have a good quarterback now, you could put up better numbers with the quarterback situation they have now compared to when he left. But Dallas does need a wide receiver. Maybe not. I mean, Jalen Tolbert has come on in camp. He's been playing very well. And Dak Prescott did say he's taking steps, and every receiver that he works with in the offseason takes huge steps in the next season. And he worked with Jalen Tolbert solely this offseason, mainly because CD has been holding out, as we touched on. So I think Tolbert will take a big step. Brandon Cooks, that's the only reason I could see Juju signing with us is because Brandon Cooks is staying, obviously, but he's older and he's not as efficient as he used to be. But I don't think that Juju would be happy at Dallas as long as CD is there. If CD's not there, then yes, Juju would be happy there because he'd be the wide receiver one most likely. But as long as CD, Brandon Cooks, and Jalen Tolbert are there and Tolbert takes a jump that we expect him to, I don't think he'd be happy because he wouldn't get the ball as often as he wants to, I feel like. But I was a little surprised that the Patriots released him, given like you said, $25.5 million contract for 3 years. I was a little surprised about this, and so was the NFL world. So what was your thoughts on that when you saw it?
One, I don't want to say he was a locker room problem, but I know he had a little bit of antic Maybe he wasn't getting, like you said, the ball enough with the New England Patriots. He wasn't producing what they probably thought he could have produced as, wide receiver one. And two, Gerard probably thought, hey, you're not cutting it out for us. We're starting back up. We're having this new culture in New England.
Well, he
And
was there. He was there last
it's
year,
not,
correct?
it was.
Okay, so yeah, I was gonna say the same thing you just said. Culture. Mayo wants to set a better culture, and I think, like you said, maybe he was half-assing it during practice. I mean,
That
like
100%. And
I feel like he's that type of guy. I'm not. Obviously, we don't play with him, but I just feel like he's the type of guy that goes out there and has fun and doesn't take things seriously. Gerard Mayo's not going to let that slide right now. He just took over for New England. He's trying to set a new culture, and if you guys are out there half-assing it, he's going to let you go. He doesn't matter. He doesn't care how good you are or how much money they paid you, and he showed that by releasing Juju. And I think that's a possibility of why he was released, as well as being not the best locker room guy, like you said.
for sure, and that's why obviously he had to leave the Steelers. He was dancing on people's logos. He was dancing too much in the locker room. That's not what we do. That's not winning football. Mike Tomlin sets an example, and when you're doing all those antics, you have to be off the team. Maybe he's learned from his mistakes. Who knows what's going on? Because I didn't see him dancing too much when he was in Kansas City. That's for sure.
Yeah, I know. I think Andy Reid said, "No TikToks, buddy. You're done."
Right, and so that's also why he won. But at the same time, what's going on in New England? Did he go back to it? Because did he go into his head when he got that $25.5 million extension?
Right.
But
Yeah.
this release can definitely humble a player like Juju Smith-Schuster. So who knows? Maybe this can change him. Maybe this will help him out, and hopefully he gets re-signed to somewhere and makes an impact.
Yeah, I hope so, man. Because I do like Juju. I think he still has a lot left in the tank, but I
For
do
sure.
think that 25.5 million went to his head. He thought he was untouchable and uncuttable and untradeable, but the Patriots had to show him he wasn't, and that's why they decided to cut him. But we'll see what happens, and we'll see if he stays in the NFL, because obviously, like we said, not a lot of teams need wide receivers this late in the year. But I could see him signing with a team maybe halfway through the year, if not before the year.
Yeah.
But moving on to Titans guard Sadiq Charles retiring. He was taking starting right guard reps in camp, so retiring this late does really hurt the Tennessee Titans. So how do you feel about this situation for Tennessee, Gio?
Yeah, it sucks. It's even worse when it's an offensive lineman, just because it is so hard to find great offensive linemen like himself.
Especially now, there's not going to be many tight ends, right? Or not tight ends, guards right now available.
Sure, but like I said, it's so either way, it's hard to find an offensive lineman like himself, a good one fit into a system right away. That's a tough task on the Titans, front office. But
we already
nonetheless,
touched on how poor the Titans line is already too.
But nonetheless, they still have to find an offensive lineman to step up. I don't think it's going to be a big impact, but at the same time, congratulations to him on a lengthy career, and we'll see what happens next for the Titans.
Yeah, definitely a big blow to Tennessee, because like you said, very hard to find good offensive linemen, and especially now with about 3 weeks to go to the regular season, there's not going to be many offensive linemen out there, especially right guards. So hopefully they'll be able to find a solution. But like you said, great career for Sadiq Charles, and congrats on him for retiring. But why do you think we see more players retiring mid training camp? Because I don't remember this happening before this year.
I think, one, it could be conditioning. Two, I think it could just be the physicality of it. I think people, one, they want to play another year right after a season. They want to win that Super Bowl. Obviously, any competitor does, right? They don't want to end it on a loss. They want to end it on a win. But then reality starts to hit. You're back into training camp. You're putting in the reps. You're like, man, I just can't take this anymore. I think it's a mental battle as well as a physical battle. I think, one, their bodies break down quicker, so their bodies are breaking down after every practice. Two, I think it's a mental game. Do I really need to put myself through this in order in order to in order to live my life, and they just realized other things are more important to them at that time in their life, and that's why they retire during training camp. Is because I don't need to put myself through this pain anymore. I can live my life. I can be with my family, and then I don't have to be in pain anymore and still be happy. That's what I want to do. So that's why they're doing this.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think they have enough left in the tank for at least one more season. Like going into the training camp, like, all right, this is my last season. That's their mindset. But once they start practicing full speed and in pads, they get sore, their body breaks down, and they're like, oh yeah, I can't do this. I'm not trying to get hurt and end my career on a possibly not only career-ending injury, but also like life-threatening injury. And it's not worth it. You might as well take the money and leave and spend more time with your family, like you said. Speaking on injuries, Falcons wide receiver Rondale Moore was ruled out for the season after suffering a knee injury in practice this past week. So what do you think this means for the Falcons, Gio?
Yeah, that sucks. They had limited weapons to begin with, and just losing him really, puts them at a disadvantage at the start of the season. And obviously, Kirk Cousins is going to have his work cut out for him either way. But this definitely, hurts them even more, and it's a big blow for that offense.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Rondale Moore is very underrated in my opinion. He's a very fast receiver, and I think Kirk Cousins would have loved him as a weapon. But I don't think it hurts them as much as people think. I think Drake London's going to have a big year with Kirk back there. I think Kyle Pitts is probably going to have his best year with Kirk Cousins out there, because look at what he did to TJ Hawkinson. Kyle Pitts has not had a quarterback like Kirk Cousins his entire career. Kyle Pitts is a gifted talent. He is going to get the ball this year. I think he's going to have a great year. And then I think this just opens the door for who they just signed in James Washington. I think he might have the best year since he had in Pittsburgh, and hopefully they can replace Rondale Moore with a wide receiver for it. But if they don't, I think they will be just fine without him this year, and hopefully Rondale Moore can get healthy and come back next year for them.
Yeah, I understand your viewpoint, but like you said, Rondale Moore is a special talent. He's a speedster on the field, and he would have loved throwing that ball to him every chance he got. And it could also have opened up a lot more space for Pitts or Washington, right? So that's why it's a big blow to me. It's more the spacing wise on the field, because if you put him in that slot, man, that would be something special.
Yeah, I mean, now that it's Drake London and James Washington, definitely not a lot more space, because they're both deep threats. Let's be honest.
Right.
So it will hurt them, but I think the offense will still be fine. It's just a matter of, is Kirk Cousins fully healthy? Because if he isn't, it's going to be very hard for the Falcons offense to succeed. But if he is, and he goes back to his Minnesota form, then they'll probably have the best offense they've had in this past few years.
Sure.
But moving on to the Philly legend, Nick Foles, retiring after 11 NFL seasons. So how do you feel about this, Gio, and how do you feel about his career as a whole?
Yeah, he, just like Eli Manning, took down the greatest player of all time. To
Eli
step
did it
up
twice, though.
Eli did do it twice, but for Nick Foles to step up when it mattered most, to step up to the plate when Carson Wentz went down.
In the fashion that he did it too, like the Philly special. Come on now.
Yeah, in the Super Bowl, for them to have that play,
and him not to drop the ball, obviously.
It's just a remarkable, thing. It's a great story. Obviously it didn't pan out, his, NFL career, going to Minnesota, I believe, next. And,
I think he went to Chicago next after that.
He went to Chicago, but he was in Minnesota for some time, I believe, too.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I think so, yeah.
And then, obviously, Kirk Cousins took over that. Nick Foles pretty much, took a back seat everywhere else, and it's unfortunate. But congratulations to him on a great career, getting that Super Bowl, winning that Super Bowl, being the leader on that team for that Super Bowl, is a story in itself. So congratulations to them.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like you said, to step up and beat the greatest player of all time in Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, the biggest game of your life. And I believe Carson Wentz got hurt in that game. So he was pretty much just thrown into the fire. and he did everything he could to bring that one ring home to Philly, their first ring ever. So to do that, I mean, obviously, like you said, the rest of his career didn't pan out the way he was hoping, but to do that, your legacy is sealed forever. So great career for Nick Foles, and the Philly special will go down in history as the greatest play in Philly history and one of the greatest plays in NFL history as well, to seal the Super Bowl. For you to run that route and not to drop it and to seal the Super Bowl with that catch, a great play and a great career for Nick Foles. So props to him on a great career, and hopefully he enjoys retirement.
Sure.
Moving on to the scandal at Michigan. They were accused of tampering with recruits during the COVID-19 season, as well as the sign stealing scandal that has been going on this past season and is still continuing to go on. Obviously, Jim Harbaugh is connected to all of this. So what do you think? Do you think Michigan should get their championship this past year taken away?
I know you're trying to be serious about this. I know this is a serious question, and we have to discuss this, but I think it's a joke.
Why is that?
The whole why is because, man, everybody steals signs. Everybody, I know there was the whole, obviously recruiting process taking place and, stealing kids. But at the same time, man, it happened. It's not like, it's not like we haven't had other teams do this before. It's not like,
Well, I'm not saying we never had teams do it before. It's just, for me personally, like, the NCAA has to crack down on it eventually, or else it's going to continue to get worse. And if it does continue to get worse, it's just going to continue to take away from the college game, in my opinion.
But the penalties, everything they stated, the repercussions, it's a joke, man. Harbaugh.
I saw that stuff, and what was it? He just got, I don't even know.
For 4 years.
Who cares? He's in the NFL. Who cares?
100%. I understand if it was like a Rick Pitino, right, getting banned from, whatever,
Like, the NCAA has a history of, they have a history of not so smart decisions. Let's put it that way. Fab Melo, for example, on Syracuse, got accused of cheating, and Jim Boeheim somehow gets 1,000 wins taken away, or 100 wins taken away. That doesn't make sense.
Reggie Bush had his Heisman Trophy taken away,
and now it was finally restored. Right. Like, you realize you made a mistake. So, like, what? So I get it. They want to continue to punish teams for doing wrong things and players for doing wrong things, which is fair. But if you're going to punish players and teams, you have to do it fairly and make it the same punishment every time. You can't make it harsher for one team or one player and then lighter for another team or a lighter player, aka Duke. Like when Grayson Allen was tripping players left and right, he got suspended for a game. Come on. Anyone else, they'd get suspended for at least 10.
Right. And that's why I'm saying I'm not saying the question's a joke. I'm just saying the fact that the NCAA as a whole, as an organization, is a joke because of what they've done, what they've allowed, what they haven't allowed. It's just not consistent. Focus on the players. Focus on them graduating, right? Getting a degree, making money, going to whatever respective professional sport that they're, going to play in. And that's what should matter most. Not like your identity, not your, reputation as an organization. Your reputation will withhold itself if you follow the right steps, right?
Yeah, I agree. It's just, I agree. It's just, I just don't like how teams can get around protocols, and the NCAA pretty much allows it, unless, like you said, it's a certain team, like the teams on top, aka Michigan, aka Ohio State, if they ever did this. Like, those are the only teams that ever get caught, and the only teams that ever get punished because they're winning. So the NCAA is like, oh, let's look into this. Just because they win? So what?
Yeah, but at the same time, I do agree. We saw Michigan did cheat. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not taking away from the championship. They played a great season this past year.
They played phenomenal.
But there was also a little cheating there. Let's be honest. For me, it's equivalent to Tom Brady's Deflategate season where he won the Super Bowl. Right. Yes, he played a great season, but there was a little cheating in there as well. There was a little help.
There was definitely a little help. It's the fact that You still have to go out there and play the game. You still have to execute everything to perfection. They had an amazing team. You couldn't beat them, and they still won the championship. So to me, they still won fair and square. But at the same time, it was like I don't want to say they. I don't want to say they knew everything that was going to happen, right?
But they knew at least 50% of it, I'd say.
But they knew some things to where they shouldn't have.
Right.
And it's unfortunate because it does bring down the championship run that they had. And it's always going to be talked about in the history books saying Michigan won a championship, but they had this, and this going on to help them out.
Right, exactly. It's like the Astros championship where they were accused of sign stealing. The same thing's going to happen with them.
Right.
Like the World Series where they sign stole. Everyone's going to bring that up and they're like, yeah, but you sign stole, so you cheated. It doesn't really count. The same thing's going to happen with Jim Harbaugh in Michigan. So very unfortunate, but I would just like to see the NCAA do something about the cheating because it's been going. It's not just Michigan; it's been going on for all teams for probably the entire existence. But they didn't catch wind of it until like the past 10 years when it really started to pick up.
Yeah, I mean, you had obviously USC with Pete Carroll. You had in basketball Memphis with
Penny
Cal
Hardaway,
right?
yeah, and now recently Penny Hardaway with his recruits.
Penny Hardaway, right. So there's a lot of cheating going on. At the same time, look at every team equally. Don't look at who's going to get me the most money, like Michigan, like Ohio State, right?
Duke.
And look past them. You have to look at everything equally, make harsh punishments when needed to be, so that other things don't happen. That's why I think you've got to look at the NBA as the standard, right? To me, they look at money, but at the same time, they look at the punishment so that things don't happen again.
Right, like John Morant this past year.
Right.
You think fans weren't mad that he got suspended 25 games? Yeah, we were, but it was a valid punishment for what he did.
Right.
So, like, I don't care if it's Duke. I don't care if it's Michigan. I don't care if it's Ohio State. If you're going to punish a team for doing something that another lower team did, punish them the same way that you would punish that lower team. Like, I that's the one thing I really don't like about the NCAA is that they care more about money than they do their league and their fans, and that's what really bothers me.
Yeah.
But obviously not taking away anything from Michigan, just very controversial. So wanted to bring that up. But like Gio said, great season Michigan had this past year. They are the champions and they will always be crowned the champions. But there was also a little help in there as well.
For sure.
But moving on to the NBA. As I said in the talking points, Lauri Markkanen had been rumored in trade specifically to the Golden State Warriors, but the Utah Jazz shut that down by agreeing on a 5-year, $238 million contract extension with him. The deal includes $220 million in new money. So what's your opinion on this signing, Gio?
I like it. Obviously, he's the leader of that team. Lauri Markkanen is an amazing player. He's only going to get better to me. So I do like this signing. It's a must need signing for the Jazz to go ahead into a positive direction. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on it. Congratulations to him. Congratulations to his agent as well. Never forget how much the agent really does in the background of everything in order to get you this kind of money. So congratulations to him and his agent.
Yeah, I agree. Agents are very underrated. They do a majority of the work for these players, so definitely need to give props to not only Lauri Markkanen's agents, but agents around the NBA as a whole and sports industry as a whole. But yeah, this is a great signing for the Jazz. Obviously, they're in a rebuild phase, but Lauri Markkanen is their best player. You don't want to lose your best player, so signing him to this extension was very important for Utah, and I think it was a great extension. And he's well worth that money. He is a very underrated player, and I think he's going to continue to make great strides for Utah and hopefully lead them back to the playoffs one of these seasons.
Yeah.
But sticking with Utah, they also signed forward Svi Mikhailuk to a 4-year, $15 million deal. How do you feel about this signing, Gio?
I do like it. I mean, we'll see what happens. He averaged 10 minutes a game, 4 points, 0.9
He
this.
was on the Bucks though, correct?
He was on Boston 2023, 2024.
Okay, but he was on the Bucks before that, I'm pretty sure, right?
Uh, I'm not sure. On here it said he was with Charlotte before that, the
Okay,
Knicks, then Toronto, OKC, Detroit, Detroit again, Detroit, and then the Lakers 2018-19.
got it. But I mean, I think it's a good signing. I think, as I said, they're in a rebuild phase, so they're trying to find the right players for that rebuild. I think Steve Mikhailuk has never, like you just said, never gotten the opportunity
Right.
to shine, and I think he has potential to be a very good player, and might as well start at Utah, see what he can do for these 4 years, and if he does get his value up, he'll then after the 4 years he'll get more money elsewhere and hopefully win somewhere else as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think he does have a great opportunity here. He just has to take advantage of it. Just like Laurie did, I don't think he took. I mean, I don't think he was well placed when he was with Chicago. He obviously took the advantage when he was with the Utah Jazz. His numbers skyrocketed off the board like crazy. It was ridiculous.
I mean,
Turned
this
player.
past year was his first year, correct?
I'm sorry.
This past year was his first year with Utah, correct?
Yeah. Before that, he was with Cleveland. So Chicago,
Uh-huh.
Cleveland,
Yeah,
Utah.
yeah, and then look what he
Cleveland,
did.
he didn't have too much going
Right.
on in Cleveland.
Hmm.
But then it obviously skyrocketed when he hit Utah. So
Yeah, I feel like Utah is a great place for players who are trying to prove themselves, which
right.
Laurie Markin was trying to do, and now Steve Mikhailuk was trying to do. Especially as long as they are rebuilding, you can take on players who are trying to prove themselves, and then once these players prove themselves, just make sure that you sign them to a bigger contract like they did with Markkinen.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Markkinen did a great job of taking advantage of the opportunity, and it goes back to another podcast that where we said you got to take advantage of the opportunity, and hopefully Steve Mikhailuk can do that with Utah.
Yes.
But moving on to Jeremy Lamb retiring after 10 seasons. So, what do you think about this move for him, Gio, and his career as a whole?
It sucks. Why? Because we just saw Kemba Walker retire, and now
Yeah,
the
bro.
two
Now
that
I
led
didn't
you.
even I didn't even think about that. The 2011 national champions, bro. They both retired.
I think isn't there only one player from? No, there's two. There's a couple still from 2011
There's still a couple. I'd say there's still. Are you saying in the league?
in the league from that draft.
There has to be. There has to be a couple from UConn.
Well, no, not from UConn, but that. What was it? The 2012 draft.
Oh, you're saying like players as a whole?
Right.
Yeah, there has to be. AD was in 2013, I think he was drafted, right?
I think there's only Michael Gilchrist still.
Bro, I think he retired, didn't he?
Did he retire?
I think so.
Anthony Davis, 2012. Michael Gilchrist, Bradley Beal, Deion Waiters, Thomas
Okay, yeah,
Robinson,
there's
Dame
still
Lillard.
Brad. There's still Brad, AD, Dame. There's still some.
Yeah.
But the
Right.
there's not many left. Let's just put it that way.
No. Wait, was that the right draft though?
2012?
No,
Because
it
he
wasn't the
was
right.
he was a 2011 national champ, so I would say he was drafted in 2011, right?
I think it was 2011.
I
I'm
don't
just
think there's anyone left, bro.
there's one. I know Kyrie's in there.
Yeah, right.
Kyrie was obviously, I believe, the number one pick in 2011 draft.
Yeah, he was.
Um,
Tristan Thompson still in the league.
yeah.
Jonas Valanciunas still there. Bismack Biyombo is still there.
And you
Clay
have,
Thompson,
Clay. Don't forget about Jimmy.
the Morris brothers. So yeah,
Yeah.
Kawhi, huge. Yeah, there's still a lot of players from 2011.
All right.
But yeah, Jeremy Lamb, his career didn't pan out the way everyone expected it to after his college career, but he still played a great career in the NBA. And as I've been saying, you made the NBA. That's very hard to do. a lot of the athletes in today's world don't make the NBA or NFL, and so just cherish that. I know your career didn't pan out the way you wanted it to, but you still made the NBA, which is an accomplishment in itself. So, and you're a national champion. Obviously, you didn't win a world championship in the NBA, but you're still a national champion in college, which is very hard to do. So, great career by Jeremy Lamb, and hopefully he enjoys retirement.
Yeah.
But anything else you got to add, Gio, other than what you said?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing just what he did for his career, right? His entire career, he had 20 minutes. He averaged 10 points, 3.6 rebounds, and 1.6 assists. I really think if he had more of an opportunity where he was drafted, he was drafted with OKC.
Right. And then he went to Charlotte too. So like
So it's a very, very difficult to have a great, upstart in a career if you're playing with, say the All-Stars and Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant. You're not going to really have that, great of a, limelight. Then you
I
go to
also think
Charlotte.
that's
It's hard.
but I think that's why he went to Charlotte though, because he wanted to get more minutes.
And then obviously playing with Kemba Walker.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, is that why you think his career didn't pan out the way it did that we expected because of the players he played with?
I think it's one. I think if he went to different teams, I think it would have definitely panned out better. Let's just say, instance for this. What if you went to the Trailblazers?
When Dame was there or before?
Dame got drafted a year after him. Let's say Brandon was there. He wasn't the main guy because they had LaMarcus Aldridge still, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. But he could have been the number 2 guy. He could have been like that CJ McCollum type of guy.
That's true. And then obviously they draft Dame. Then they draft Dame. They probably wouldn't have taken CJ had that had happened since Jeremy Lamb and Dame would already been there.
Would have taken it forward. That whole team could pan out differently.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jeremy Lamb didn't have the best landing spots. I mean, like you said, being behind Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, I think James Harden at that time, you're not going to get a lot of playing time. And then going to Charlotte when Charlotte was in the bottom half, like, yeah, you had some great games here and there, but you're not going to get much playing time or the ball there much either because Kemba Walker was the best player. He's going to have the ball in his hands 95% of the time, and that's what happened. So I think he could have had a better career had he had better landing spots for sure.
Yep.
But anything else you want to touch on before we go into segments?
I got nothing really.
All right. What's going on in the sneaker world over there?
Yeah, we already know what happened. Kobe Bryant, right, had his gold medal. Well, were they the fours? Were they fours? I want to say they were fours. Fours or fives? I believe. Hold on one second. Yeah, they were the Kobe fours. Gold medals. They were gold, obviously. White, blue. Then they had that nice little touch of the gold medal on the insole. They just released, especially during the Olympics. So I wanted to touch on those for the sneaker game. Great looking shoe, obviously. Kobe Bryant, one of the best to ever do it, right? And then shout out Kobe Bryant. To me, this is Kobe Bryant Day. This is the only Kobe, the most Kobe Bryant Day you can have. It is 8, 10, 24, all 3 of his numbers all in one day. So shout out Kobe Bryant. Shout out to his, the gold medals, fours. And yeah, I think, like I said, he's the one of the best to ever put on that USA, red, white, and blue.
Yes, sir. I'll definitely have to check those sneakers out, being a big Kobe fan myself. So rest in peace, Kobe. And very, very happy that, as I said, Team USA got it done on, like you said, the most Kobe Day that you could have at 8, 10, 24, his 2 Lakers jerseys, and then the Olympics jersey. But in the video game world, the last week, actually, Madden 25 and NBA 2K25 ratings dropped. If you guys haven't seen them, you can view them on any social media accounts you own, or just look up the Madden ratings and 2K25 ratings, and they will pop up. Not a lot of controversy. I think most of the ratings that I've seen so far are pretty fair. So very excited for these games to drop within the next month or so, and then I'll be touching on them when they drop. And thank you all for watching, and see you on the next one.
Hey guys, if you like the podcast, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. We know we had, some controversy in the last podcast in the comment section. Go right ahead. We love to see it. We love to hear it. So whatever it is, good, bad, right? We'll make sure that it's nice and ugly down there for everybody. So go ahead and give us some comments. We'd love to see it. So go ahead and leave those. Find Nick Say down there as well, like always. And until next time, like two wise men once said, we'll see y'all. Subscribe. Peace.
Peace.